For the
We need
record,
to start the recording.
Yeah.
It's already on.
The time is 9:06 a.m. and this meeting will be open to the public at the above location and will be proceed by video conference as allowed under Texas Government Code Section 155.127. The location above shall have two-way audio-video communication, which each of the other locations during the meeting. The president or presiding officer of the board will be physically present at the location and room listed above. And with that, Ms. Jackson, you can call for a quorum if you like. Or I can do that if you would like. Thanks. Okay. Ms. LaTana Jackson.
Present.
Right now, and yes, I do see.
Okay, so now what do I do?
Mr. Samuel Brown.
Present.
Dr. Timothy Chappell. Dr. Chappell may be trying to get online, I believe, but Ms. Deborah Patrick.
Present.
Mr. Pelizzari.
Present.
Ms. Candace Poole.
Present.
Dr. Qureshi.
Present.
And Ms. Sanderson. A second, make sure she's not on mute.
Yeah, just turn your mic on when you're ready to speak.
Okay. That does appear, Ms. Jackson, that we do have a quorum. I think Dr. Chappell is trying to get connected and join us. And we'll see if Ms. Sanderson joins us, but you do have a quorum to proceed.
Good morning, everybody. The first item will be our board member report.
This would be the opportunity for Ms. Jackson, if you have anything to share with the board or if any other board members have anything they would like to report on.
I do not. The next item would be our executive director's report.
Okay, I can go ahead and do that for Mr. Carlton since he's got a scheduling conflict. And the first item is an easy one for me. Joey, do we have you out there for a budget update?
Yes, I'm here, Chris.
Okay, go right ahead.
All right, thank you. Good morning, board members. So I'll be brief with our budget report. For fiscal year 2022, we successfully executed 100% of the budget that was appropriated to us. So we're very excited to have been able to done that for the fiscal year. We also collected 30% more revenues than what we had projected and reported to the legislators and the comptroller's office. And comparing that to last year, we collected just over 6% more than what we collected last year. I've also updated our revenue report that you should have in Laserfish. That's pages 4 and 5. This gives us a projection outlay of the last 10 years of revenue collections for the agency. And then I've also built in at the bottom of that report our revenue collections by license type. So you'll have that information year by year, and you'll be able to see the trending information and how the agency has grown and the number of applications, et cetera, and whatnot. For fiscal year 2023, I am still in the process of setting out that budget and what each department will have for the fiscal year. In the process right now of finalizing contracts and services that we'll be using for the year and trying to get our final prices for that. So that's still pending, but overall we should have a good year and should be able to, again, successfully execute that budget and not over exceed our budget either. And then finally, we did submit our legislative appropriation request back in July. We did meet with the Legislative Budget Board and members from the governor's office in August. And thus far, no one has had any questions about our appropriations requests and capital budget items that we requested. So more to follow on that as we get into more meetings and the session starts in January. So we hope to have a successful year. So pending any questions, I'll give it back to you, Chris.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. Estrada before we move on?
Do not.
Okay. The next topic is the internal audit. The audit topic has been approved And the next topic is going to be the enforcement process. Still kind of working with the auditors on what the metrics of that audit will be, but it will be covering the enforcement process from complaint through compliance. The scope of that will kind of have to be determined as we go. That's going to start after the new year. We did push it back a couple of months because of the move. Let us get moved in and settled in the new building before we proceed with that. Which brings me to the last item on Mr. Carlton's report, which is the building update. We actually have a pretty significant building update today, and that the building that we're in now is going to be empty by the end of October. Our move date was moved. We were originally going to move in August. We're now moving on October the 24th. So we are in the process of getting all of our boxes and files packed up and making arrangements to have all of our equipment moved and have staff come in and get their equipment ready. The movers will show up on October 24th. We're still working with our IT department and Mr. Carlton and everybody to decide exactly what that means in terms of open and close for the agency. There probably will be, well, there will be at least some downtime. We're not 100% sure yet which services will be available. The website should be available the whole time, but there may be some delay in processing applications and those sorts of renewals. Just not sure exactly the full scope of that yet. The building will, of course, be closed to the public that day as we get moved. The new building, we've had a chance to take a tour of it. It has furniture now. It has badges that work. It has some parking. They're obviously still finishing up some of that stuff as any big construction project will go. We do have a very large, we're still calling it the ISC room, but as you all know, the ISCs are virtual now, so it's really going to be a boardroom. We're still calling it the ISC room. Most board meetings will be able to take place in that room within our space. And so that will make things a lot easier for setup and all of that. So the building update is going well. We may, when we find out when this building is actually going to be demolished, maybe we can all stand outside in the parking lot with a beverage of choice and bid it farewell. We've been here a long time, so we're looking forward to getting to the new building. Any questions on any of that?
With the moving to the new building, will there be any plans to eventually have all the board members coming back face to face?
We are making, we have made a budget request to help get funding for that. And provided that we do get funding and it's an option, I think there is a plan to at least have one meeting per year in person if that's what the board wants to do. So we're looking at it. It's got to get budgeted first and then kind of look at it from there. There will be space physically to do it. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Our next agenda item would be our medical director's report.
Yes, good morning, everyone. Pleased to announce that we have more than enough experts from your licensees. However, we are still looking for some physician experts. You probably could give us the most insight into either family practice experts who we need, or intensivists, pulmonologists, that sort of thing. So if you have anybody, you can pass those names along and I'll be happy to follow up with them. But thank you.
Next item will be the consideration and possible actions regarding pending litigation.
Good morning, everyone. This is the litigation report, and we don't have anything to report. The medical board has a few routine appeals going through on some of their agreed orders after a hearing at the State Office of Administrative Hearings. But other than that, most significant litigation has not really changed over the past few months. There are a few cases in federal court still, but those are really not moving at all at this point. So unless you have any specific questions, that's my report for this time through. And you all don't have anything specifically related to any of your licensees.
Good to hear. Our next item of business will be the Texas Physician Health Program.
Certainly, I believe they are here. I just would like to note for the recording, Dr. Chappell, it does look like you are here now. We were doing roll call. I think you might have been having some issue getting marked here, but I think we can mark Dr. Chappell present. Are you able to participate now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, and then do we have PHP ready to go?
Yes, I'm Emily Doyle. I'm the new medical director for the
Doyle.
Texas PHP. I'm taking over for Dr. Katie McQueen. I have 4 cases for your discussion today. I believe that the board has the written case reviews. Some of them are quite lengthy, but all 4 were presented to the Texas PHP Governing Board for review on July the 29th, and all 4 of them were recommended for return to Texas PHP. I'll give you some brief summary of highlights of these cases. If there's any details that you'd like to know, let me know. I will go in the order of their case number. The first one is 18-0181-A. This is a 38-year-old participant who was initially referred to the TMB investigations, referred from TMB investigations in November of 2017. Again, referred from TMB investigations in January of 2018, and then most recently referred from TMB litigation in October 2019. This RCP D&E reviewed this participant on June the 24th of 2021 and recommended return to the Texas PHP. The reason we were talking about this participant this time was some positive drug screens on June the 1st and June the 8th, a missed check-in on July the 27th, missed tests on July 28th, May 31st, and June the 3rd, and some missing counselor reports, quarterly reports that were due on 12/15/21 and 3/15/22. On June the 16th, after the positive tests, the participant agreed to sign a cease practice order and go for a fitness for duty evaluation. That evaluation was completed. The participant was not practicing for 30 days until able to show compliance with the monitoring, and the cease practice was lifted on August the 5th. Most recently, the reports are in and there are no new positive tests for this participant. Would you like for me to go to the next case?
So, board, you can either vote on these one at a time. I think that would probably be best, and you can vote to the recommendation that PHP is making is that they've referred this case to your board to consider action, but they are making a recommendation that you actually allow this participant to continue with PHP. So the motion would be to accept the recommendation of PHP and return the case to PHP for continued monitoring. And any of you can make that motion, and if you would like to for this case.
I'll make a
I make the
motion that
motion.
we return to PHP.
A second.
I second.
Or,
Okay.
I think that was Brown, Mr. Brown and Ms. Patrick. Okay, thank you.
yeah.
So it's been,
yeah.
there was motion, it was Brown and
Yeah.
Ms. Patrick. Okay. It's been motioned and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passed.
I would also
And
just
Mr.
note, it sounds like
Mr. Palazzo, let's do each one separately, just as a matter of record, so they know which ones might come to them and as the board members, and going with back to PHP per whatever Dr. Doyle's recommendation is. It'll be much cleaner for the record.
certainly, and I would note it. I think Ms. Sanderson has been able to join us as well now. Or Ms. Sanderson, are you able to see and hear us and participate? Maybe not yet. I know she's working with IT, so we may not be there yet, but we'll note that when she finally is able to join. Oh, sorry.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. I can hear you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, Dr. Doyle, sorry to interrupt you there.
The next case is number 19-0326. This is a 42-year-old that was referred in January 2019 after a DWI arrest. This participant was discussed at the governing board because of missed check-ins on 3 occasions, incomplete psychiatric evaluation, missing PCP reports on 2 quarters, missing meeting attendance logs, and missing attendance at 12-step meetings. This participant has been reviewed by this committee, the RCPD&E, on February 6, 2020. The PHP had a case conference with the participant and talked about the missed meetings and sent the participant for an intensive diagnostic evaluation. And the participant was cooperative, attended the evaluation. The results of the evaluation are still pending. The participant's now exceeding the required meetings for the last month. And the governing board recommended that this case return to the Texas PHP, and that's my recommendation today.
Make a motion for the case to return to Texas PHP.
Second.
It's been motioned and second that the case return back to the PHP. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
All right. The next case is number 21-0411. This is a 37-year-old who was referred from TMB Investigations 4/30/21 and initially declined to sign an agreement with the PHP and came back to you and had an agreed order then with the Texas Board of Respiratory Care, and then referred again to Texas PHP. Excuse me. And then eventually in April of 2022, entered into a 1-year agreement with Texas PHP. And the participant has since then had 1 dilute test and 2 positive tests for alcohol. The participant agreed to attend an intensive diagnostic evaluation. The results of this evaluation are still pending. There haven't been any further testing issues since that initial positive tests in May and June. So our recommendation and the recommendation of the governing board was to return to the Texas PHP.
Make a motion for the case to return to Texas PHP.
A second.
Okay, it's been motioned and second that the case return to the Texas PHP. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
The last case is number 21-0809. This is a 33-year-old who was referred August of 2021 from TMB licensure for psychiatric and substance use disorder with a history of multiple alcohol-related arrests. This participant was reviewed by this committee in February of 2022. And then reviewed by the governing board again, the PHP governing board in July, after having failed to submit quarterly reports from a psychiatrist as was required. There's been a lot of work done with this participant to try to get them connected to a psychiatrist. And now we have a plan in place, and we anticipate the next monitoring report from a psychiatrist due in December 2022. The recommendation of our PHP governing board and my recommendation was that this participant return to the Texas PHP.
I recommend that the case returns to PHP.
Second.
It's been motioned.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's been motioned and second that the case return to the Texas PHP. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
And then I believe the next item on the agenda was emergent referrals, and we have had no emergent referrals to report. Are there any other items for discussion?
The board, there is a program activity report summarizing the physician health program participant status. And I don't know if Dr. Doyle or Mr. Bernardo, if there are questions for either of you on that. If not, it's just a report. It doesn't require a vote.
Thank you, Dr. Dole. Our next item will be the discussion and recommendation and possible actions regarding applicants appearing concerning eligibility.
Yes, we have 3 applicants that are scheduled to appear for today. So the first applicant we'll be starting with is applicant number 2545. This applicant was previously licensed with the Texas Medical Board. They are here because they have the following state board disciplinary action. In North Carolina, they had their CRT license revoked in April of 2006. They were issued their license in North Carolina, and a letter was mailed to them stating that items were needed to complete the criminal background check. The decision to summarily suspend the license to practice as an RCP was due to the failure to return those forms, and that led to the permanent revocation in April of 2006. They further stated that the licensee failed to respond to repeated requests to return the criminal background check packet, and they also failed to appear before the investigation and informal settlement committee. The applicant provided a statement saying that she did a job in North Carolina as a travel respiratory therapist. She received the license, but she didn't do the background check. She wasn't able to set aside the time to do that due to an early pregnancy delivery, and she had also moved and didn't get any of the notices, but she stated that she did do the fingerprints and the issue was resolved. The second action is in Louisiana, an order of summary suspension in December of 2014. This was due to a drug screening violation. Per the information that the Louisiana board reported to the MPDB, the applicant failed a urine drug screen, which was positive for cannabis. The applicant states that she was working in Louisiana and all staff was informed that a narcotic was missing out of the drawer. The department was asked for a drug sample to test for that missing narcotic. She gave her sample and it did test positive for THC, but not the narcotic that was missing, but her license was taken, and she does currently have an application in process on file with the Louisiana State Board. Third action was with Mississippi. Revocation in April of 2017. Per the information they submitted to the MPDB, the department received an NSF return check notice. A letter was mailed notifying to pay the fee plus the return check fee by money order. When no response or payment was received, the license was revoked. Because the applicant didn't request a hearing for that decision, the revocation became final. She did provide a statement regarding that, saying she applied for the license and her balance wasn't enough. She didn't have the funds to submit because she didn't have the money. She later did submit that payment and resolve the issue. And she is able to apply for a license in Mississippi, but hasn't because she's trying to relocate back to Texas. And then finally, with the Texas Medical Board, there was an agreed voluntary surrender order in November of 2017. The applicant was under investigation by the board regarding allegations of unprofessional conduct related to falsification of a National Board of Respiratory Care document and submitting to an employer. The applicant provided the statement saying that this was a voluntary surrender of her license for submitting fake documents to her company that she was going to do an assignment for. Her CRT credential had expired, and then she lost her Texas license, and that's where the job was located at the time. Board staff did receive documentation from MBRC that the applicant does have the CRT certification that is valid through June 30th, 2025. Are there any questions? No? Okay, applicant 2545, if you're present, if you could unmute yourself, and if you have a statement, you could say that at this time, or the board can proceed with asking you questions regarding your licensure application.
I do have a statement in regards to that Mississippi license. I do have my Mississippi license back in hand.
And when did that become effective?
Last month, actually. I submitted documentation to Jason Meyer, but I'm not sure if he received it in time to, submit it to board, but I do have that license.
Thank you.
So applicant 2545, do you have any other information you'd like to share with the board?
I do have some information that I received from when I was practicing. I was told that I had questions. Y'all had questions for me in regards to working in Texas without a license. That's the notice that I received from the analyst. So I was wanting to know, was that in question from the board to me?
No, that was not included in your committee packet that you received approximately 2 weeks prior to this board meeting. We are aware that you were placed in various Texas facilities through the staffing company Crucial during the height of the pandemic. And so what is in your packet that you received is also what the board members are currently seeing right now. And that issue was not elaborated on, that you were here practicing without valid authorization.
Okay, because I received something different to why this board was meeting for that specific reason. So I guess I was confused about it with the letter that I received.
It could have been that your analyst was following up about your time in Texas. The board is aware that during the pandemic, there were some staffing agencies that weren't exactly following appropriate protocol and procedure and placing some practitioners in the state without properly notifying the board or getting that authorization. So it could have been that your analyst was just wanting to follow up if that was the case. That's not always the case for an out-of-state respiratory care practitioner, but it sounds like in your circumstance, that was the case. So as I previously stated, the packet that you were sent 2 weeks ago, which contained all the material, that is what is currently being reviewed by the board right now, which is those 4 disciplinary issues.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
Well, applicant 2545, I would like clarity. Where did Crucial have you working when you were working in Texas?
At McAllen, like the border.
What hospitals?
At doctors in Corpus Christi. Yeah, Corpus Christi and Edinburgh in McAllen.
And just for clarity, have you been a Texas resident prior to, and then you went and got your license in other states, and then you're returning back to Texas?
I haven't returned back to Texas. I'm originally from Mississippi. I have, throughout my career, I have traveled, and it's always been in Texas, throughout Texas, other states, but mostly it has been in Texas. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And hold on, Dr. Pop. Let's go back to the issue, the 2006, where your CRT was revoked because of the criminal background. Did you ever get that resolved in that state?
In North Carolina, that was the license, the North Carolina license from the fingerprints. I have all that resolved. Yes, ma'am.
So you did complete the criminal background?
Yes, ma'am. I did. What happened? I was pregnant and I delivered early, and Hurricane Katrina, I didn't follow back up, but I did do the fingerprint, and everything with that board is resolved. Yes.
Okay, and then my last question, for the November 2017, where you did the voluntary surrender because you submitted false documentation, what exactly did you submit to the agency?
The NBRC that was already taken away due to the board, the NBRC changing the credentials. I don't really know. They just changed the credentials to make it to be expired from coming from a program to be a registry eligible program. They put expiration dates on it.
Yes, ma'am.
Under new
So,
guidelines.
and what did you turn in? What was the false? What was
a fake? It was a NBRC documentation, but the date on it was not the correct date.
Dr. Pelazar, Mr. Pelazar, you have a question?
Yes, ma'am. Applicant 2545, did you knowingly practice in the state of Texas? Did you practice knowing that your license was expired?
I didn't have I don't get what you saying with the crucial staffing company during the pandemic, or
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
well, what is told from the company, these
No,
pandemic
ma'am. No,
companies.
ma'am. No, ma'am. My question is, as a state practitioner, you should know at all times if your license is current or not. And it's a yes, no question, really. Did you practice knowing that your license was expired?
My license was not expired due to I was able to use the license that I had. I wasn't asked for a Texas license. They were accepting any state license.
Okay. Okay.
I think I can jump in here. Ms. Unterborn, is it correct that applicant 2545 she did have an emergency license issued by Texas?
Yes, we did receive an emergency VPTP application, and we verified the Alabama license was active with no issues. She did have a Texas sponsoring physician that did not have any disciplinary actions on their license. And so based on those two criteria, because of the emergency situation, the authorization was issued.
Thank you. I'm good with that.
So question, the emergency license gave her the right to actually practice, right?
Yes, sir.
Correct.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. It did.
As long as she had a valid license, she was
Somewhere.
allowed to come to Texas. Yes.
Okay.
Are we still practicing that? Or are we still under those emergency conditions where no? Okay.
Applicant 254.
Hold on. Stop. When you talk about emergency conditions, Mr. Pellizzari and Ms. Jackson, those emergency conditions were the disaster declaration of the governor. The declaration remains in place.
Okay.
So the emergency licensing process remains in place. Now, given some of the decline in the cases and the immediacy of demands, etc., the demand may have dropped off, but the availability, if the demand is increased or were to have another spike because of a new variant or something, remains in place. So we need to be very clear. This is still an avenue if we need practitioners. Now, it's supposed to be for emergency care. It's not necessarily a way for someone to speed up the licensing process, because even if they got an emergency license, they still have to go through the full licensing process in Texas to get their full license, and there are limitations on the emergency license.
Thank you for the clarity. I think that's where the confusion comes in, is that I think still people feel like because there is the emergency application process, everything's an emergency. So thank you for clarifying that, Mr. Scott.
I had a question, applicant 2545. So currently you are in Mississippi and you have a Mississippi state license to practice?
Yes.
So the reason for Texas medical license is that you are moving to Texas?
Yes.
Okay.
Miss Tootie, I can't see you. Miss Tudholt. Who? I'm missing someone off of my screen. Okay.
You may want to switch to large gallery. That might help you see everybody.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I can't see who I'm talking.
If
Okay.
you,
Okay, I
does
can
that
see you
help?
guys. So for clarity, have we met all of the requirements to apply for the Texas RCP? From a background standpoint, CEUs, everything that's required of us, has she met all of that, Ms. Grace?
So she doesn't have an active practice issue because of the practice history that she reported doing through the pandemic. So she meets the active practice licensure requirement. We did verify that she currently holds MBRC CRT credential, which is also required for the full license. And she's completed her prints and submitted like her educational requirements and everything like that. So it was really just the disciplinary history that we wanted to present this before the RCP board to make a final determination.
Thank you.
Ms. Underwood, is there any issues from the hospitals that she has practiced in the last 2 years?
Not that we received on the Form L evaluations, which is the document that we require to confirm and demonstrate that an applicant meets the active practice requirement. Were there any professionalism issues reported by the facility or the supervising practitioner or anything like that? So there weren't any issues indicated on those.
I think we can
Ms.
develop.
Jackson.
Yes,
Oh,
ma'am.
I'm sorry, doctor.
No, I was saying that we can deliberate if no other questions.
Ms. Jackson, I wanted to go ahead and ask one if that's okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so applicant 2545, with respect to the falsification of the MBRC documents, were you investigated by that organization?
NBRC, yes. I lost my credentials and well, I didn't have them, but I was on a probation for
Okay,
as long as I was on a probation with Texas, and that was listed. And I went back and retook my test and started back practicing
okay, so you remediated it through like a probationary
through
period
the
and,
N through NBRC.
okay.
And to elaborate on that, Ms. Tuthill, the NBRC documentation that we did receive directly from the NBRC to the board, their language says, additionally, the National Respiratory Care Disciplinary Database has been scanned and no disciplinary actions have been found pertaining to this individual. So they did not report a history of disciplinary action.
Correct. I just wanted to find out if you were required to remediate it in any way, form or fashion. So were you required to do any sort of ethics CE or anything additional? Or is it just a probationary status tied to the medical board's
It was
surrender?
probationary, and I still have to submit CEUs to NBRC.
And then the period ended because it was tied to your voluntary surrender with the Respiratory Care Board of Texas?
No,
Okay.
it was different. They had their own 2-year period, and Texas had their own 2-year period.
I
So
see.
it was
Okay.
two separate.
So right now you'll have to go back and renew your CRT.
I've already done it.
You've already, okay. And then okay.
So I got a question.
Okay.
Did I hear correctly that she was current on her CEUs? Did I hear that correctly?
Yes, sir.
That is not a part of the licensure file because when an applicant meets the active practice requirement, we do not request proof of CEUs. So that was not requested from the licensure analyst. So that would be something that the applicant would have to confirm and verify with y'all.
Okay.
But she would have had to turn in CEUs to get her CRT, correct, Ms. Applicant 254? Yeah, it's part of the certification process, Ms.
Yes,
Brown.
ma'am. You have to have so many per year within the time frame of the lifespan of your credentials.
Yeah.
So if it expires in 4 years, then you have to have the 12 CEUs times the 4 years, if that makes sense.
And you last practiced here in Texas in 2021, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
So Miss Grace, for clarity, what do you have a recommendation for us?
Well, this was just a referral, so it's not an appeal or anything.
Okay.
And the board can have a variety of options. You can approve to relicense this applicant, deny, offer an agreed order or remedial plan. There's many things, and
Okay.
Ms. Tuthill and I can help you with that if necessary.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Board members, do you guys have any other questions? Do I have a motion?
All I've heard is just an extreme carelessness about regulation, rules, dates, documentation, but I haven't heard anything that suggests that she's not a qualified therapist or there are issues with safety and patient care. So I would move that she get a license.
I second.
Okay, it's been moved and second that we grant a license for applicant 2545. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. You're on mute.
So, thank you. Applicant 2545, you'll receive an email from board staff, which will contain a link for a separate Microsoft Teams meeting so that you can leave this meeting, join that one to ask board staff any questions about the motion that you just heard, what steps to expect next. And then after that meeting, you are more than welcome to come back and continue to attend this RCP full board meeting if you'd like. So please check your email for that, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Do I hang up here? Okay, thanks. Okay.
Thank you. Okay. Are we ready for the next applicant? Okay, this is applicant number 2544. This is a referral by the executive director for reissuance of their previous Texas RCP license. This applicant, their first license was issued by DISH in January of 2012. At the time of her license renewal with us in July of 2017, our registrations board staff reviewed the DPS FBI fingerprint report and learned of her criminal history. And because of that, referred the file to investigations. The applicant failed to respond to correspondence from our investigations department. And when she didn't respond to the SOA notice and failed to appear at the SOA hearing, then the board revoked her RCP license in February of 2020. When asked why reissuance of her RCP license would be in her best interest, as well as the best interest of the public, the applicant provided the following statements. With regards to the best interest of the applicant, she says that this is for the survival of herself and her family, that it's an honor to continue to practice something that she's loved and worked so hard for. With regards to best interest of the public statement, she says that because of the pandemic, that our country is experiencing an RCP staff shortage, and reinstating her license will help relieve that burden and help to fight this pandemic. We did ask what her practice plans would be if reissued her license. She did provide a statement that she just plans to return to work, but did not provide any specifics of a location in Texas or facility or anything like that. But are there any questions regarding this applicant?
Ms. Grace, for clarity, when did she last work?
We have, again, she was with a Crucial Staffing and worked with them from 2020 until approximately April of 2021. Prior to that, she did have the Texas license and was at Children's Memorial Hermann from 2015 to 2020.
Thank you.
Applicant 2544, if you're present, you can unmute yourself. If you have an opening statement, you can present that at this time. And if not, then the board members can move forward with just asking you questions about your licensure application.
Yes, I'm here. I would prefer the board to just go ahead and ask questions because I'm very nervous. So I am so nervous.
Understand.
Board members, do you have any questions? Applicant 2544, while working with Crucial, what hospitals were you assigned to?
Laredo Medical, Corpus Christi, Brenham Rehab. I did it for like 2 years. Yeah, Brenham Rehab, Laredo Medical, Corpus Christi. That's it.
And so in the 2017 with the criminal history, when did you receive the notifications that?
Well,
There
no,
were-
they were actually going to a different address, and I really didn't think that it was because I wasn't convicted of it. I didn't think that it was that serious, but I have definitely learned my lesson, and I wasn't receiving the mail. So the mail that I did receive, it says your license has been revoked, and I was like, wait a minute. I mean, because that happened in 2015, and I received that when I received notification in 2019, around about 2019. And I had relocated. I was going through a divorce. I had relocated. It was just a lot, and I wouldn't have never just ignored that if I would have known that it would have come to this. Like, I definitely learned my lesson.
What area are you living in now?
So right now, I have been forced to move to Arizona. So
you're okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Come back, 2544, come back, let's talk. So now, your goal is to move back to Texas to
yes,
practice?
Yes, I left because I had no choice, because Arizona gave me my license, and I didn't have my license in Texas no more. So I had to leave so that I could provide. And my kids are there. My daughters, well, they grown, and I have a grandbaby there, and I have a grandbaby on the way.
Okay, you're okay.
Can I ask you something?
I'm sorry, I did not want to get on here and do this, but
it's okay. After you received notice that your license was revoked, I think in 2019, correct?
Yes.
What did you take any steps to try and get that resolved at that particular
yes,
time?
I did. I reached out and I got the dismissal. And I was intending to, but I was going through so much, and I was intending to get that to the board. But then, like I said, I just did not know the significance of this. Like, I did not know that, I don't have a criminal record. I had never, it was just my lack of, and then there was a lot going on in my life. So
you just kind of let it be and just moved on from it?
Yeah. And then I'm like, because I was like, that happened in 2015, and then I wasn't even, I wasn't guilty. I wasn't charged for that. And I'm like, okay, I just didn't know the significance of it. And because I never had to do this. I've always had to, my stuff has always been together. And, I don't have a criminal record. I didn't, but like I said, once again, I've learned my lesson.
So as of now, your CEUs are current and updated, and you were practicing in Texas up until April of 2021, and then from there you've gone to Arizona. So you've not been unable to practice, correct?
No, I moved to Arizona. I've been here for probably like 2 months. I just renewed my license with Arizona on my birthday, which was September the 3rd. So I just had to do 20 CEUs just to get my license renewed with Arizona. So right now.
Okay. Are you a CRT or RRT?
RRT.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Board members, do you guys have any additional questions?
No, ma'am.
Has she had, Ms. Underwood, any issues from the hospitals or complaints or anything?
No, not on the formal evaluations that we received to document her work experience with Crucial, and then at Children's Memorial for that 2015 to April 2020. Everything was fine.
All right.
Can I have a motion?
I move we give her a license.
I second.
It's been motioned and second that we give the license back, or give the license to applicant 2544. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay. Anyone opposed? Okay, motion carries.
I appreciate, thank y'all.
In applicant 2544, you will receive a separate email from board staff that contains a separate Teams link that you can leave this meeting and join that one. So you can ask questions from board staff regarding the motion that you just heard and when you can expect the reissuance of that license and any other questions that you have. So please check your email for that.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate
Thank you.
it.
You're welcome.
Are we ready for the final licensure applicant?
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Grace.
This is
Yes,
applicant
ma'am.
number 2530, and this applicant was scheduled to appear back at the June 23rd, 2022 meeting. They couldn't attend, and the committee wanted to defer so that the applicant could appear at this meeting. She has once again said that she will not be appearing. I did send a late update with her statement that she emailed directly to me, and then also her statement directly to her analysts why she's not able to attend. So she again, is not here, and I don't see her in the participation list. So it's up to you if you would like to hear the appeal of her active practice remedy and make a determination without her appearance. You did defer once since she's not here.
You know,
I think
I've read it, and we're following our practice matrix that we have to be consistent with everybody. And, you know, if that changes, we have to go back through legislation and everything to get it changed. So I don't think we're at the liberty to vary from what we've already decided.
So based on that, because this is an appeal, you can make the motion to either deny the appeal and the original recommendation stands, or
I make the motion to deny the appeal and the original recommendation stands.
I second that.
I agree.
It's been motioned and second that we deny the appeal and stick with the original motion for applicant 2530. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
And that is all the licensure applicants that have been scheduled to appear today.
Thank you, Ms. Grace.
Thank you.
Okay. Agenda item number 8, discussion, recommendation, and possible actions regarding proposed orders offered by the executive director.
There are none.
Agenda item number 9, cases recommended for dismissal.
Certainly, I can handle this item for board staff. The first item under here is the enforcement activity report. This just is a summary of the enforcement process, including complaints received. This does include everything through fiscal year 2022. So this would be the end of fiscal year report. What we basically look for here are any trends that would show any changes, and make sure that if we see changes, they're anticipated. The biggest change that impacts your board is the drop in total number of cases, the drop in total number of open cases, the drop in total cases going to ISC. The reason for that is the change in statute in Chapter 53, which changed the way the board investigates and moves forward on criminal arrests and those sorts of things. So that has resulted in a drop of active cases and pending cases, but we do continue to monitor. Anytime one of your licensees is arrested, they're all in the fingerprint system. We get a rat back alert. We do review those to see if there's something that would be a continuing threat to public safety, and we can do an immediate investigation, move quickly. Sometimes we look at those, and if there's something that looks like it involves drugs or alcohol, we can refer those cases to the physician health program. And otherwise, we just monitor the status to see if it results in a conviction. We do also contact the licensee in most of those cases and remind them that they do need to keep us informed if they do get convicted or plead guilty. and give them information about the physician health program if they do have an substance abuse issue that they need to deal with. Other than that, I don't have anything else to report on the enforcement report unless there are questions about that item. Okay. The next item would be the warning letters report. There were none for this board in the last quarter. The next item is the criminal case review report. This is the report of what I was just talking about. This is the one for all license types that we regulate, including your folks. And it kind of gives a summary of how many we got. We did receive over 500 reports for all license types in fiscal year 2022. So you can kind of see that the criminal justice system was working again and people were going back out into the world, and some of them were getting into trouble. So there's a lot of review, and so hopefully we'll see that come back down, we hope. And then finally, you just have a report on year-old cases for your license types. That's there for your review. We do report on year-old cases. You notice 3 of those are going to be resolved at today's meeting. One individual is suspended, and that's just we're still going through that process. They're suspended, and one of these cases at SOA being litigated, and then of course there's one case that's set for ISC next month. And so nothing that gives me any concern there, but I can answer questions about any of these reports under 9A. Okay. For 9B, Dr. Brett, do you have anybody for them to, it does not look like there's anyone for you to approve as a new expert panelist.
No.
Okay. There are also no probationer appearing today, and there are no rules. There are no follow-up files from prior meetings. So that would bring us to the cases recommended for dismissal. And these cases, as a reminder, these are assigned to individual members of the Discipline and Ethics Committees to review. And what we'll do is we'll just go through by board member when we get to your cases. If you have any that you would like to pull for discussion, please let us know. Otherwise, we'll call for a vote. Obviously, any board member can discuss any of these cases. So just because the case is not assigned to you doesn't mean you can't communicate about it, but they are assigned to one individual to kind of help facilitate the review of these. The first cases are assigned to Ms. Poole.
Yes.
And there is one case under your filed investigation LOE, and there's one case in your ISC section. Are there any that you would like to pull for discussion?
No, I will not pull any of them.
Okay, then would you like to make a motion to dismiss the 2 cases assigned to you?
Yes, I would like to make a motion to, excuse me, my allergies are killing me this morning. To make a motion to dismiss the 2 cases. One is 220515 and the other 194337.
A second.
Motion and second, and then we just need a vote.
The motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Okay. The next set of cases, the next case is assigned to Ms. Sanderson. Ms. Sanderson, you have one case in the ISC panel dismissal category. Would you like to discuss or make a motion on that one?
I wanted to make a motion. I don't have the number in front of me because I cannot log on to my laptop, and I'm doing this from my phone. But I wanted to make a motion to dismiss the case.
Sure, and it is case number 22-0382.
Yes, 22-0382.
I
Jackson.
second.
So it's been motioned and second that we dismiss item or case number 22-0382. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Okay. The next set of cases are in 9B, standard of care cases. The first set is assigned to Dr. Chappell. Dr. Chappell, you do have one case in the filed investigations category. Would you like to make a motion?
I move 22-5230 be dismissed.
Second.
It's been motioned and second that case number 22-5230 be dismissed. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
The next set of cases was assigned to Mr. Marshall. Mr. Pellizzari, have you had an opportunity to look at those two cases?
Yes, sir. Respected board members, I have reviewed those cases, and I would like to make a motion that those cases be dismissed. I apologize for not having those numbers right in front of me. Every time I toggle back and forth on my screens, I lose connection. So
it is the ones that were assigned to Ms. Marshall were 22-7199 and 22-0414.
I second.
Is 7199 and 220414. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Unzap yourself. There you go.
Okay. It was motioned that we dismiss case numbers 22-7199 and 22-0144. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, and then in Mr. Pellizzari's category, we had one case. It was 228690 in the J&F file category. And Ms. Pellizzari, would you like to make a motion on that one as well?
I'd like to make a motion that we dismiss this case.
Second.
It's been motioned and second that we dismiss case number 22-8690. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Nice.
And that does complete that section of agenda item number 9. That was the last of the cases recommended for dismissal. And there are no cases assigned in the appeals category, so that would complete agenda item 9. You ready for the agenda item 10 for the defaults? Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So agenda item number 10, consideration and approval of determinant of default.
I do believe Ms. Swanholm is going to present these for litigation.
Yes, thank you. Hello, this is Amy Swanholm, litigation manager, presenting 2 cases for you today. The first one in front of you for a vote is Terry Annette Johnson Lewis. This was a case that we took to SOA related to impairment and failure to participate in Texas PHP. We did hold a hearing on the merits on July 12th, 2022. The judge did find that notice of the hearing and all required notices were proper. A default order was issued and sent to the respondent's address of record on September 1st. We have had no response from the respondent throughout this whole process. You do have that proposed default order in your packet for you to review, and you would need a vote if you would like to approve this determination of default.
I move we approve this determination of default.
I second.
It's been motioned and second that we approve the determination of default for number 503-22-01088. All in favor, say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, board. The second one you have in front of you today is for Paul Joseph Lopez. We brought this case to SOA. It's based on his termination by an employer for failure to disclose 40 counts of criminal activity in California. Criminal activity ranged from insurance fraud, healthcare fraud,
lots of fraud. So we had a hearing on the merits on July 12th, 2022. The judge did find that notice of the hearing was proper, as well as other required notices related to the SOA process. We, based on that order, drafted a default order that is in front of you today for a vote. We did send that to respondent at their address of record on September 1st. Throughout this whole process, there's been no response and no participation at all by respondent. You would need a vote if you would like to adopt and approve the proposed default order in front of you today.
I move we approve the default order on Lopez.
Second.
I second.
It's been motioned and second that we approve the determination of default on SOA number 503-22-01079. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, board.
Thank you. Agenda item number 11 will be the consideration and approval of proposal for decision. There are none. Agenda item number 12, discussion, recommendation, and possible actions regarding modification/termination request.
That item will need a motion and a vote to approve. The document is in your Laserfish files.
I need a motion to terminate the request.
I make a motion to terminate the request for case number 22-0345.
And just to clarify, to approve the recommendation on the request would be the motion language. Thanks.
Okay. So the motion is just to approve the modification. Is that what you said, Sarah?
Yes.
I think that was what your motion was, right, Dr. Kresge? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
All in favor?
We
Well,
got
no,
a second.
I need a second. I need a second. Okay. It's been motioned and a second to approve the modification for, I don't have a number.
Sure. Yes, ma'am. It is
22-0345. Sorry. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Agenda item number 13, the discussion, recommendation, and possible actions regarding agreed orders.
There is one item there in the same process. If somebody would like to make a motion on this one, obviously if there are questions, that would be appropriate as well.
I make a motion to accept the recommendation for agenda item 13, case number 22-0234.
I second.
It's been motioned and it's been motioned and seconded. Can you guys hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
It's been motioned and second that we accept the agreed orders for item number 22-0234. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Agenda item number 14, discussion, recommendation, and possible actions regarding remedial plans. There are none. Agenda item number 15, discussion, recommendation, and possible actions regarding mediated settlement agreed orders. There are none. Agenda item number 16, discussion, recommendation, and possible actions regarding cease and desist agreed orders. There are none. Agenda item number 17, discussion, recommendation, and possible actions regarding non-proc tunic orders. There are none. I hate that word.
Say it fast.
Close enough.
Say it fast.
4 years later, and I'm still messing that word up. Okay, agenda item number 18. Considerations and approval of agreed resolutions. There are none. Agenda item number 19. Consideration and approval of consent orders. There are none. Agenda item number 20. Report on cease and desist orders approved by Executive Director. There are none. Agenda item number 21. Report on automatic orders / actions. There are none. Agenda item number 22. Discussions, recommendations, and possible actions regarding proposed rules to 22 TAC Chapter 186. Respiratory care practitioners. There are none. Agenda item number 23. Yes, discussion, recommendation, and possible actions regarding adoptions of Rule 22 TAC Chapter 180C Respiratory Care Practitioners. There are none. Agenda item number 24, open forum for public comments.
Just note for the record, there is nobody here physically in the room with us. If there is anybody out there in the virtual world that would like to address the board, this would be your opportunity to do so. We do limit public comment to 3 minutes in case we need to accommodate multiple people. So that we can, Mr. it's okay, we wait a minute or so, or just to see if anybody takes themselves off of mute and has a comment.
Okay. Agenda item number 25, consideration and approval of the June 23rd, 2022 Respiratory Care Board meeting minutes.
I move they be approved.
I second.
It's been moved and second that we approve the board meeting minutes from June 23rd, 2022. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Does anyone oppose? Motion carries.
One item left.
One item left. Who wants to hit it?
I move to adjourn.
I'll second.
It's been motioned and second that we adjourn the meeting at 10:18. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much,
guys.
everyone. It was great.